Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into the Wuthering Waves 2.0 update and tackling a question that's probably on everyone's mind. Should you pull for new 5-star Spectro Resonator Phoebe or go for the rerun of the popular fusion sub-DPS Changli? Both characters are fantastic in their own right, but they fill different roles and require different level of investment. Making the right choice for your account can be tricky, especially if you are a free-to-play player or have limited Astrites. So let's break it all down, comparing their strengths, weaknesses, team composition, and overall value to help you make an informed decision. So without further ado, let's start with the star of the show, Phoebe. She is the brand new 5-star Resonator who uses her Actifier. What makes her unique is that she is the limited damage over time, that is DOT character in Wuthering Wave. Her kit revolves around two distinct states. First one is the Absolution and the Confession. Absolution is all about maximizing damage output. When Phoebe is in her Absolution state, she can dish out significant Spectro damage to enemies. And the Confession state is particularly focused on applying the Spectro effect to enemies. Spectro is a stackable debuff that deals Spectro damage over time. The more stacks you apply, the more damage the enemy takes. However, these stacks are periodically reduced, so you need to keep applying them to maintain the damage. Now here is where things get interesting. Phoebe can function as both main DPS and a sub-DPS character. However, it is generally agreed upon that Phoebe is best suited as a main DPS, focusing on all her Absolution state. To use Phoebe as a main DPS, you will want to build a team around her that includes buffers as a Spectro character like Spectro Rover to help her build Spectro on enemies. As a sub-DPS, Phoebe can use her Confession state to apply Spectro efficiently and deal damage off-field. However, so far only Spectro Rover can efficiently take advantage of this elemental debuff. This limits Phoebe's potential as a sub-DPS, making her a less versatile option compared to Changli. When building Phoebe, you will want to focus on crit rate, attack percentage, and Spectro damage. Since she is a Rectifier user, finding a good crit 5-star weapon can be challenging, but she is strong enough to perform well even with F2P setup. For her echo set, the Eternal Radiance with Nightmare Morning Axe as her main echo is the way to go. So should you pull for Phoebe? Yes, you can pull her if you want an amazing main DPS, especially from the Spectro attribute. Also, if you don't want to bother with building a team, especially around her. Also, if you are willing to invest in her weapon, or you already have the Eternal Radiance set or are willing to farm for it if you don't have. And also you can pull her if you are planning to pull her for future units who can synergize with her Spectro because as of now there is only one character who can utilize this elemental debuff. Now let's move on to Changli, the rerunning 5-star fusion sub-DPS. Changli is a powerhouse when it comes to buffing her team's damage. Her outro skill provides a large damage buff to other fusion characters. Changli excels in quick swap teams where she can come in, use her skill, and then switch out to another character who can take the advantage of her buff. Currently, Encore is the most viable character to pair with Changli, but mastering this duo can be tricky. Like any other DPS in Wuthering Waves, Changli needs crit value, attack, and fusion damage in her build to maximize her potential. This means investing in 5-star weapons and farming for echoes with the right main substats. While you can still play Changli without heavy investment, she won't perform as well as when she is fully equipped with the optimal stats and buffs. So should you pull for Changli? I would say yes if you want a sub-DPS who can greatly buff her team's damage and you are planning to pull for Brant or a future fusion DPS character. Also, if you are willing to invest in a weapon and you are willing to farm for her echo set. Now since Changli's banner is coming alongside Brant, let's briefly talk about him. Brant is a new 5-star fusion sword user who excels as both as a healer and a damage dealer. His ability to buff fusion damage and resonance skill damage through his outro skill makes him an ideal support for Changli. He can even complement her playstyle with quick swap. In fact, if you already have Changli, Brant is a must-have to increase both characters' performance. When Brant can pair with other characters, he doesn't have the same level of synergies as he does with Changli. Brant relies heavily on his energy regen stat to heal and deal damage. Fortunately, energy regen is readily available on 4-star weapons, making him F2P friendly. He can also work with various echo sets like Rejuvenating Glow, Moonlight Cloud, and Tide Breaking Courage, giving you a flexibility in building him. So, should you pull Brant? Yes, of course, if you want a healer with a good DPS potential, you have Changli and want a good support unit for her. Also, you don't want to invest heavily in his weapon, and also if you want a character that is easy to build. Now let's talk about the team composition and how these characters synergizes with others. First of all, let's talk about Phoebe's team composition. As a main DPS, Phoebe needs a team that can support her damage output and help her apply Spectro Phasal. A typical Phoebe team might include Phoebe as the main DPS, Spectro Rover, and a support or a buffer like Varina. And then Changli's team composition. Changli shines in a quick swap team with other fusion characters who can take advantage of her damage buff. A strong Changli team might include Changli as a sub-DPS, main DPS as Encore, and Brant as a healer and support. The Phoebe Changli Brant team, it's worth nothing that Phoebe, Changli and Brant can actually form a solid team together. In this composition, Phoebe would be the main DPS, Changli would act as a sub-DPS and buffer, and Brant would provide healing and support. However, keep in mind that this team might require significant investment to make all these three characters perform at their best. Now, when deciding who to pull, it's important to consider their value and how they fit into the current meta. First of all, Phoebe. As a new character, Phoebe has potential to shake up the meta with her unique DOT-based gameplay. If you are looking for a strong Spectro main DPS and enjoy experimenting with new playstyle, Phoebe is a solid choice. Then comes Changli. Changli is a well-established sub-DPS who provides valuable buffs to her team. If you already have fusion main DPS like Encore and want to boost their damage output, Changli is a great option. Plus, with Brant on the same banner, you have the opportunity to create a powerful fusion team. Now, let's consider F2P players. Choosing which banner to pull on is crucial. If you are on a tight budget, here are some things to consider. First of all, Phoebe can perform well even with F2P weapons and echoes. However, to maximize her potential, you will eventually want to invest in her weapon and echo sets, and Changli requires more investment to shine. To get the most out of her, you will need to farm for good echoes and consider pulling for her signature weapon. And Brant is a very F2P friendly character as he relies on energy regen, which is readily available in 4-star weapons. He can also work with various echo sets, giving you more flexibility. Now, if you are a F2P player, Brant might be most valuable pull as he provides great utility as a healer and a support without requiring heavy investment. If you already have Changli, pulling for Brant is a no-brainer. If you don't have Changli, you might want to consider whether you are willing to invest in her to make the most of Brant support's ability. So, who should you pull for? Ultimately, the decision depends on your account, your goals, and your playstyle. So, pull for Phoebe if you want a strong Spectro main DPS and enjoy DOT-based gameplay. Pull for Changli if you want to buff your fusion team's damage and already have a fusion main DPS like Encore. And pull for Brant if you need a versatile healer and support, especially if you already have Changli. Remember to consider your Astrite budget and your willingness to invest in these characters before making your decision. So good luck with your pulls, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep gaming. This is MJ signing off.